Here, and you're going to see some things here that is amazing in his history of World War II. And we just got done with the World War II unit, just to let you know that. We are so grateful that you are here today and to share any stories that you can have with us. So, without any more of my time, here we go. Bud.
Yay.
Give him a round of applause.
I suppose you all realize this is a great privilege for me because of this beautiful little girl, which is my great granddaughter, and she is a great granddaughter. But anyhow, not many of us left anymore. All of the World War II, most of the boys are in their 90s or somewhere in there. But anyhow, I was drafted. I was working at 3M Company, and all of a sudden the government said, "You are drafted, you're going into the Army." It was in
Yes, they do.
1943. And we had a choice. We could go into the Army, the Navy, or the Marines. And I took the Army and went to Texas. Luckily, though, I was a very fortunate feller because I was put into an outfit which is my division, 86th Black Hawk Division, and for a little over 2 years, I was in the United States preparing men for combat overseas in Europe. And that went on till about 2.5 years, and toward the end of the war, they closed a lot of the different port authorities and that they didn't need anymore. And we got them, we went to Europe via Le Havre, which was, you remember Le Havre, that was quite an important place during the battle, but this was way later. And we went to prepare. Now there were 3 camps at that time: Chesterfield, Lucky Strike, and Old Gold, 3 cigarette leagues, and they prepared us for combat. We went into Le Havre. After Le Havre, we went to those camps, and we started to fight in Cologne, Germany. That was my first combat, which was about the last 6 to 8 months of the war. I was somehow very, very lucky, but we went, as you see, that's where I got my Bronze Star, because we went over across the Danube River. Is it the Danube? Yeah. And we captured our German to see how big an outfit they was, and et cetera, et cetera. And from there, after the war, I ended up in Berchtesgaden, where was Hitler's hideout. And after Berchtesgaden, we went to the United States. We were the first troops back and prepared us for what?
Philippines.
This doesn't work so good sometimes, the Philippine Islands. And we were all given all kinds of, I'm going to tell you this first, then you can ask all the questions you want, and I'll do my best. But we were completely trained. We went over the side of ships on the rope ladders down into the water if we were to be in a frontal attack on the waterfront. So we have been prepared for everything, all the way around. And I got my Purple Heart. Luckily, it was on a frontal attack. I took a chip off of my cheek, which was very fortunate. Instead of another inch, it had taken a little more than I wanted to lose. So anyhow, that's my just about story. I'm open for any suggestions or questions, sir. You have to, I'm kind of low on the hearing, so please.
Like, did the army or the country ever get notified, like, when the war will end? Or because
Yes and no. I mean, we didn't really know when the war was gonna end, you didn't know. But I think what caused it so fast was the fact that they dropped that atomic bomb. And that made the Japanese give up. Yeah.
Did you ever go to Germany and see any of like the camps and stuff?
Yes, I went to Germany from the camp. I don't know if I was in Old Gold or Chesterfield, because we started the fight in Cologne like I told you. There's a big cathedral there, and we went across the river there where I got my Bronze Star and captured prisoners and brought them back, because the general wanted to know what was going on.
Afterwards, did you ever go and see concentration camps? After,
Yes, we went through them, which was bad, how they had killed so many people, and there was bodies out of the ground, and it was an awful, awful mess. And one thing that kind of made us a little unhappy, Adolf Hitler had a special troop. Now, I don't remember what they called them, but they were Adolf's special people. And they were not very good to the people that were volunteered or adopted like we were into the army. They made them do all the work, they made them to wash the dishes, they made them to do everything, because they were Hitler. And when we took over, we turned it around. We made the draftees top notch and made those hot shots do all the dirty work, so we were welcomed pretty big.
That's great.
do you
Any
all
more
know,
questions?
so Dad got those medals that are going around, Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. Does someone know, how do you get a Purple Heart medal?
By being in the war, in all war.
No, something has to happen for you to earn the Purple Heart.
You have to get hurt or injured.
Yes.
You have to be
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, he was telling you he got shot just the top right, like
Just
here.
luckily,
right by his
it
temple.
knocked me,
Yeah.
it so happened, why I got it behind me was my master sergeant and the lieutenant, or the captain, which was in charge of our company. I was hit, I went down, but I got back up again and kept going. I had 12 men, I was a staff sergeant, and I had 12 men I was in charge of during combat. And I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, I shouldn't have got the Purple Heart because it was just a chip. But anyhow, I got it.
What about the Bronze Star?
The
What
Bronze
do you get
Star
that
was
for?
done when I went, that was a general also, you might give them to. And that was to get prisoners, wondering what the situation of the German army was on the other side of the river.
How about
So a Bronze Star, you earn a Bronze Star if you do something, that's a bravery medal. So he did something, can I just read it?
Sure.
This is the commendation that he got from the United States government as to why he got the Bronze Star Medal. It says, Staff Sergeant Raymond Temme, United States Army, for meritorious achievement in connection with military operations against the enemy in Germany.
Keep going.
I cry, easy. Between April 1945 and, 2 days, April 1st and April 2nd.
No, it was later on.
It says
Oh,
April 1st.
Okay.
Okay, on April, see, I'm still the daughter. Anyway, he volunteered to participate as a member of a reconnaissance patrol which crossed the Rhine River in the vicinity of Cologne, Germany. After observing the strength and disposition of the enemy, he returned with his patrol to his unit. Then he went the next day and volunteered to cross the Rhine again with his mission of bringing back captured enemy personnel. On this occasion, he helped to capture 3 soldiers of the German army. Despite heavy machine gun fire, the captives were brought back to our forces. His bravery, aggressiveness, and devotion to duty reflect credit upon himself.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't remember most of that, but around. Sorry for crying.
I'm going on 96 years old, and this old head just doesn't record like it used to years ago. I'm very sorry to say it. But more questions, anything that you would like to discern.
What company were you a part of?
Company I, it's in the military. They're with 86th Division, Company I, 343rd Infantry Division, in, like I say, Company I. And there is 4 squads in a company. And I was one of the charge of 12 fellas at that time. But after the war, I was created to tech sergeant, and I had 40 men. So, but never a chance to use them. Luckily, we were all married very young at that time because none of us knew if we were coming home or not. And I married her mother in 2/22/44, which was on a furlough. And then I went back for 9 months and coming, but luckily, I was discharged a couple of days short of 3 years. When the child was born, we were given 150 points toward discharge from the Army after the war. So I had 150 points from her birth, and which was very nice. And I got discharged December 26th. They went home and we were in Camp McCoy, Wisconsin, and everybody went home for Christmas and left us guys sit there. And when they come back in 26 to 1925, or 25th was Christmas, they come back the 26th, and we got discharged. So that's what did it. But any more questions I could answer you people? I don't know what, like I say, we received all kinds of training. All of us were treated about the same. It was great. We learned to crawl under fences. We had to walk 25 miles in 8 hours and 9 miles in 2 hours. That was part of our training for combat, because actually a lot of walking when you got into combat. We were taught to fight behind tanks and all different kinds. And also, another problem, we were kind of a division that was replaceable. We replaced the French for a while, and we replaced the English, and that was our duty. We were kind of, I don't want to swear, but they called us a bastard division, because we changed and replaced here and there.
So you're butt kickers.
Yes.
Kick butt, I don't know.
But it all worked out, and like I say, we ended up in Berchtesgaden, and it was kind of bad because Adolf Hitler, I didn't particularly like him. Him and a lot of his men had stole so much from the German people, and Berchtesgaden was kind of the hideout for Hitler and his high-ranked soldiers. And we saw a lot of stuff, pictures that were stolen from the German people, and etc. And one thing that was very rare, they had a liquor manufacturing place in there with a lot of big barrels. You've seen these big barrels, what they made beer and wine on. Well, they were broke, and there was that much wine, beer, and whiskey on the floor. And there was a lot of ex-soldiers swimming in that stuff, which was so weird.
Wow, good
But,
celebrate.
Never heard that
it was a
story.
Very weird situation. And then like I say, they prepared us for overseas and.
So I got a question for you, Bud.
Sure.
So when you were going to the Philippines, you were preparing to invade Japan, is that correct?
luckily, we'd have lost
See,
thousands
remember?
of boys if we'd have
Yep.
had to.
Leaflet
bring-
is gonna be 400,000 men.
Yes, cause
Possibly.
that's where we were trained for
Yeah.
combat and to get off of ships out in the water and get in. When you were now off the ship with rope ladders down the side, all of a sudden you were this deep in water and then, cause the ocean wasn't permanent, it went up and down. But anyhow,
So there weren't, you know, the troops were shipped everywhere. They didn't go on planes, so it took a long time to get to Europe or the Atlantic.
26 days we were aboard
Wow.
ship.
Tell about the ships. These were made just for transporting the
I
troops.
can't remember the manufacturer.
Well, no, they don't, no,
But
but,
actually,
yeah.
they were made when we slept down below, down in the cabins with rough water, the sides would actually do some moving.
But
So,
the sides of the ship, you could see, when the waves would push up against the sides of the ship, you could see it from inside. I personally wouldn't do very well with that, I get seasick, that would not be. There's a question.
Did the ship have a name?
Did the ship have a name?
honey, yes, but I don't remember what it was, I'm so sorry. It wasn't a regular army combat ship, it was just a ship to transport us people.
They were
And
like
going over
tin
to Europe,
cans.
when it was a different ship, we went out of, northern part of the United States. One of our ships way out got its propeller shot off by a German submarine. And we never knew where the hell the sub went, but it kind of destroyed the boat for a while to get there. That took us 8 days to go across the ocean because we went about 5 miles an hour, I think, in those old boats. But anyhow. Sir?
Have you ever been in a trench?
Trench.
Trench.
Have you been in a
A
trench?
trench?
No,
Or World War
we
I?
didn't, they were more or less done at the first part of the war. And, we didn't, we were all out. We learned to use everything. We learned to use, fire hoses for fire, hand grenades. We had M1 rifles. We had a lot of different stuff, but we never did use that part. It was, for the first part of the war, which was what, 43, 42? But anyhow, I went in 43. So, that's when I was drafted, and a lot of my buddies too. I lost one friend who was killed during World War II. And that's all. The rest of them, I saw numerous get shot. One bad thing about war, as soon as you were sworn in for a soldier, you were authorized to kill, which was a sad situation. But we were all authorized to kill. Either kill or be killed. We had no choice. Come back.
I'll mention, Dad is the middle generation. His grandfather was in the Civil War in the Army, and his son, my brother, was in the Vietnam War in the Army. So
Yeah,
we've got,
he was twice in Vietnam. And he has, I don't know if he's got orange problems,
Agent Orange, yeah.
but he
that's-
has bad problems. And he has spent quite a bit of time, and he's in Oklahoma and has with the VA.
He's in a special program they're testing. Agent Orange is a chemical that was used in warfare. It was kind of illegal, I think not legal, right? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know what all the details were. but
They used
was
it
pretty
anyway.
sad.
But anyway, back to World War II. There's another question? Do you have another question? No? Go on.
Sir?
Did you see any fighting while you were in the Philippines?
No, we did no fighting in the Philippines because the war was over. But funny thing, in certain areas, the Japanese had taken a lot of the Filipino girls up into the mountains. And some of the areas offered the Filipinos $10 a head of a Japanese head if they'd bring a Japanese head down on a pole. So, because the Japanese didn't know the war was over. They didn't believe it, the ones that were up in the mountains. But luckily I got out of there, like I say, because I had discharge point. As soon as I got over there, captain called me in, Bud, go home. So it took me about 3 months to get a ship to go home, and that's when I was discharged with the Bataan Death March boys. But the hospital ship went first. I was just with the general. It took me about 3-4 months when I got out of the service to get me out of the Bataan and back into my division. Because the boys in the Bataan had 3 years combat. They fought constantly from the beginning of the war, which I was only 6 to 8 months in the last month. Anyhow, any more? Sir?
So were you moving around? Were you just like moving around a lot during the war?
Not a lot, no. We were pretty much in the area. Of course, in the first, like I said, I was training to men for combat. But we did move, because I said they called us a division, and we replaced numerous outfits, and even some of the Russians. They weren't very loyal people. They liked to be caused to surrender, because there's a lot of the, even German and French, there's a lot of people like us that were drafted. They didn't want to fight really, but they had no choice.
Yeah.
So we were kind of gentlemen. It was a world war. We fought military people. Nowadays, golly, you might be fighting a guy in the street in the crazy wars. But we were strictly, when we took a town, we protected the children and the German women. We didn't ever touch them. However, we were moving so fast they couldn't keep us up with food, so we kind of helped ourselves to anything we could find to eat. And then there's one more thing that was crazy. It had been quite a long time since we had the time to take a shower or a bath. We finally got into this one area which was an ex-German camp, and they had a bathroom or showers. With a lot of these guys, when they took their clothes off, they were wearing women's underwear because we had no chance to get clean clothes or anything. So when we take a town, we can't help ourselves to underclothing and anything, but it was a crazy situation.
Never heard that before, Dad.
That's all right.
But it was a chance to get clean clothes. It's about what it amounts
Just
to.
don't think about eating and
Yeah.
sleeping and
Right.
underwear.
Yeah, really think about that stuff. That's awesome.
Anybody else? Young lady.
So when you came back, didn't they do all those like new houses for people when they came back?
New what?
Like didn't they make new, or was that World War I when they got?
Yeah, we didn't get it. Must have been World War I because we didn't have it all.
Well,
Sir.
it was, yeah, I know what you're
Warren
talking
Thompson,
about.
he's talking about Warren Thompson, like suburbs. Like,
Sir.
Yeah, and if you were in the Army, you could get a special
Yeah.
rate, and, yeah, and they put them up, bing, 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 you know.
I got
so
this
many-
gentleman first.
Were the Canadians nice people?
Yes, they were. I don't particularly remember a Canadian group of any kind, but yes, we were all from all over, so you just didn't kind of know, but evidently, yes, everybody was absorbed in. However, we had a lot of people from the states around. Actually, my division, 86, was at Chicago, 86th Division. I mean, that was some of their base. And young lady.
Oh, when you were in the war, did you ever send stuff over to like the U.S.?
What?
Like to the
Did you ever send anything back
Oh,
to the
no,
US?
we weren't allowed. You had to be an officer to do that. It was funny, but when we left Europe on the boats, all us guys that were just sergeants or down to corporals or private, and officers could bring Jeeps back. They could bring anything back they wanted, but we couldn't do nothing. I wanted to buy a Jeep when I got out of the service, but no. But was funny thing, over in the Philippines, we were a couple of times in charge of bringing military equipment to this camp, and some of it was taken out in the middle of the ocean and dumped. Even some new Jeeps over the side of the ship. They had such a surplus of military equipment, they didn't want to bring it home. Anyhow, I'm sorry. I don't know of anything else to tell you
Any
people.
questions?
I appreciate your courtesy so
Well,
much.
let's give